So if you come onto your mat, just take your time. So coming down onto the mat, so if you, soles of your feet flat to the floor, keeping your knees bent because that allows your abdominal area to relax, to settle, and just bringing your spine down and just allowing yourself, just maybe wriggle around a little bit. So it's always with that idea that the first position that you find might not be the one you want to stay in, so you know it's fine to change. So we're gonna work to do some things with mobilising our hips, and also that has an implication with our shoulders, our neck, and our jaw. So nothing in our body works with isolation. So first of all, if it's okay, just place your hands onto maybe the base of the ribs or the abdomen, and just allow yourself to feel the weight of your hands. Maybe press your elbows down, press your shoulders down, the back of the shoulders down, breathe in, and you feel the ribs rise at the front. And then as you breathe out, allow everything to rest, allow your whole body just to settle down onto the floor. Maybe roll your head from side to side as you breathe, knowing that you breathe and your breath will respond to the changes that you make within the movements of your body. Just moving your head from side to side. And then just let your head just come back to centre. Then bringing the ankles and your heels together, just bringing the ankles and heels together, just let the knees drop out. So the right knee drops to the right, left knee drops to the left. So just taking your time, if you're just joining, just taking your time. So knees drop out, so you feel that stretch or that kind of opening, I suppose, around the inner thighs. That's a really tight area, especially if you've been sitting all day looking at your screen or on the desk. So then when you're ready, if it's okay, take your attention to your right knee, lift the right knee up and take the right knee over to meet the left knee. Now the right shoulder might come up, you can turn your head over to the left as well, and then roll yourself back, bring the right shoulder down, bring the head back to centre, roll the right knee out to the right, bring the left knee up and over to meet it. And the left shoulder might come off the floor, you can turn your head to the right, and then just roll the whole body back and the left knee goes over towards the left and the right knee goes over to meet it. And you can just start to roll from side to side, so you can really feel that sense of moving through the shoulders and through the neck and through the head. But you're leading, the movement is being led, I suppose, by the knees. So that's a really good way at kind of mobilising the lower back and the pelvis and around the hips. Just rolling from side to side. Then ever so carefully, when you're ready, just roll back to centre. Bring the knees up and let the feet, so have that sense of the feet planting down onto the floor. Lift up the right heel and lower, lift up the left heel and lower. And just do that a few times, getting that sense of movement through your feet. It's a really good way of waking up the knees. And then when you're ready, just draw the right knee in. So the hands can go underneath the knee, circle the right ankle a few times one way, and then the other way. And then if it's okay, just give your ankle a shake or your foot a shake. Now just imagine if you were a child, if you told a young child or a toddler to shake their leg, just imagine what they'd do. So it's really that idea of letting go of the ankle. And ankle joints are really tight and the tendons can be really tight, especially as we get older. And then stop. And when we free up the ankle in this way, that might allow you to ease the knee a little bit closer in. Just kind of see. And then let go. Place the right foot back on the floor, draw the left knee in towards you. Hands underneath the knee, ease the knee down, circle the left ankle a few times one way, and then the other way. Circling one way, and then the other way. And then just as we did before, just give that ankle a shake. Just as though you are like a toddler, and no one can see you, so you can really feel as though you can let go. And if your ankle doesn't really shake or move that much, it's okay because they're tight, especially if you've had an injury, a break or a sprain or anything as we get older. And then stop, and then perhaps you can ease the knee a little bit closer, because freeing up the ankle will have an effect on the knee, which will ultimately affect your hip. Make sure you're breathing, and then let go. Place the left foot back on the floor, let the hands come to rest on the base of the ribs, and again, just let your knees drop one way. Whatever way your knees have gone, maybe if your knees have gone to the left, then the right shoulder really settles, bring the knees back up, let the knees drop the other way, then the opposite shoulder stays just as it is. If the opposite shoulder lifts, then just bring the knees up a little bit. Just rocking the knees from side to side, so we're using that to mobilise the pelvis, wake up the hips and ease into the lower back. It's a really good movement for easing into the lower back muscles. So, when we're lying on the floor like this, because it really allows gravity to rest the muscles. And then when you're ready, just come back to centre. Draw your knees in towards you. Lightly place your hands on your knees. The hands are on top of the knees. Maybe the knees can come kind of close together, but they don't have to stay like that. Then you're just going to ease the knees over towards the right, circle the knees away from you to the left, and then back in again. So just circling the knees, but as you do this, just continue to do this. As you do this, feel that movement massaging your lower back. So you can really feel the lower back muscles being massaged into the floor. So it's a really good way at easing into any kind of discomfort there. And you can feel that in your shoulders as well, and also around your head. So if you close your eyes, really sending your attention to the sensations that you can feel in your body. And then reversing the circles, just rocking from side to side, knowing you're not just moving your hips, you're not just moving your lower body, you're also easing into the upper body as well and around the shoulders. Make sure your jaw is soft and you're concentrating but you're not frowning. So there's space between your brows, so you're not kind of creating any kind of tension in your face. And then when you're ready, stop, ease the knees in. Maybe lightly place your hands underneath and just kind of encourage the knees to come a little bit closer in. Draw your chin slightly down. Be aware of your breath coming in. As you breathe out, can you ease the knees a little bit closer? And then let go. Breathe as you need to. Now, if it's okay to keep your feet off the floor, keep the feet off the floor. If you'd rather keep your feet on the floor, if you don't like this too much with your back, then bring the feet on the floor. But if it's okay, knees are off. Take your arms wide at shoulder height. Now, can you really allow the back of the shoulders to rest down into the floor? Roll your head from side to side. Really having that sense, when you come to centre, where you perceive centre to be with your head, just let the weight of your head be given into the floor. Now we're going to see if we can allow the shoulders to rest as you lightly drop the knees a little bit to the left. But can the right shoulder stay as it is? Bring the knees up to centre. Can you let the knees drop to the right? But can the left shoulder stay as it is? Now, if this is okay for you, you can start to move your head as well. Now, your head can either turn in the same direction as the knees, as they go one way, or your head can turn in the opposite direction as the knees. Just kind of see what feels right for you. So there's loads of variations to these, and there's no right or wrong. All we're trying to do is find a bit of mobility in the spine. So as you're moving the knees from side to side, they don't have to go all the way to the floor. Start off careful. As you're moving the knees from side to side, you're really allowing your shoulders to rest. So the upper part of your spine rests into the floor. Now you might notice that the knees can go a little bit further over towards the floor, but don't force it. The knees might go all the way, especially if you turn your head in the same direction as the knees. It is easier. Now if you like this, maybe as the knees go to the left, your head turns to the left, and can you send that right foot towards the left hand, or the right foot might touch the floor. Bend the knees back as you come to centre. As you go to the right, the left foot might touch the floor, or the right hand. You can lift your hand up if you like, and then just bend the knees as you come back to centre, and then just continue, just rolling from side to side. Now don't forget that as the knees go perhaps to the right, the left shoulder stays quiet. As the left foot goes towards the right hand, the left shoulder stays quiet. And then the same on the other way, as the knees go to the left, the right shoulder stays quiet. As the right foot extends, or the right leg extends, the right shoulder stays quiet. Now, if this is nice for you, if you're kind of thinking this is okay as well, you can progress it again, and you can extend both feet. As you go over towards the left, both legs or both feet go over towards the left hand. Then bend the knees as you come to centre. As the knees go to the right, can you extend both legs over towards that right hand or towards the floor? So and bend your knees as you come back to centre. So it's kind of quite a lot of core work going on, as well as easing into the muscles in the lower spine, as well as around the shoulders. It's quite a nice little thing, because that rolling from side to side helps massage the muscles of the spine. It's quite a good way of using your body weight. And then just coming back to centre, stop there for a few moments. So you can bring the hands a little bit, you can let the hands come to rest on the ribs, or you can leave them where they are. And we're just going to bring the knees together, send the knees away from you, open the knees, draw the knees back in. Knees together, send them away, open the knees, draw the knees back in, send them away, open the knees, draw the knees back in. So we're working again at mobilising the hips. And then let's just see if we can reverse that. So draw the knees in towards you, open the knees with wide knees, send the knees away, draw the knees in. And the toes can touch or they don't have to. All we're trying to do is work and feel, all your attention is on what's going on in your hip joints. Hip joints are ball and socket joints. So when we do these circular kind of movements, they're really good ways of mobilising the hips. Using different muscles, using different ligaments and tendons. Then the next time your knees draw in towards you, take your hands underneath the knees and again ease the knees down. Cross the right ankle on top, ease the knees down. Swap ankles, take the left ankle on top, ease the knees down. Draw your chin slightly down to get a sense of long neck from the base of the skull to the tailbone. Be aware of your breath coming in. And as you breathe out, perhaps you can ease the knees a little bit closer. Breathe as you need to, as you just rock from side to side. So being aware that you're massaging the muscles in the back of the spine, that run either side of the spine, in the back of the body. And then let go of the knees, or kind of stop that kind of pulling, I suppose. And then just rolling over onto your side. Take your time, roll onto your side, and just come over into all fours. So the wrists are more or less underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Just tie my hair up. So when you're in this position, draw your chin towards your collarbones, or take your gaze towards your navel, and then just round your spine. So the gaze is towards the navel or towards the knees, round spine. Breathe as you need to, then taking your gaze forward, taking the gaze just forward slightly, sink between the shoulders, sink at the back of the waist. So then draw the gaze towards the knees and you round the spine. Send the gaze forward, maybe up slightly, but being careful with your neck. And then you can sink between the shoulders and sink at the back of the waist. So just finding those little, they're quite outside movements of the spine. So really mobilising and finding the muscles as you just extend and do a forward bend with the spine. And then just come to neutral. Shake off the wrists if need be. Weight bearing in the wrists, it can be, it's hard work, but it's also good for circulation and for bone health. So now we're going to just circle. So you can imagine like the crown of the head moving towards the right, circling around, back towards the, or just circling, I'm not sure what I'm doing. Just circling any way that feels right for you. A few times one way, and then the other way. And maybe going a bit further forward with the head, and maybe going a little bit further back with the heels. So you're just testing how your knees are feeling as well. You're just kind of mobilising into the knees, lengthening the thighs. And it's a good one for your lower back as well. So just kind of circling as much as you can. And then when you're ready, just coming back to centre. Take the knees a little bit wider. Knees go a little bit wider. And just rock the hips from side to side, as though you've got a tail and you're just swishing the hips. And then as you rock your hips from side to side, can you ease your hips back towards your heels? So maybe your hips go between your heels. So you're using this to kind of mobilise, or hip openers, as well, open the hips a little bit. Bring the elbows a little bit closer towards the knees. So you don't have to have your head on the floor. You're looking down towards the floor. You can turn your head from side to side. Then lift your hips, come back into all fours. Knees are a little bit wider than, than I would normally say. Then just walk the hands round towards the right. Just turning to look towards that right foot. Then come to centre. Walk your hands towards the left. So you're just turning your gaze towards that left foot. Just do that a few times. So these are just like little side bends. They're quite good to kind of mobilise the sides of the body. The waist up towards the shoulder. Just walking from side to side. Maybe once more each side. And then coming back to centre. And then with your knees quite wide, send the crown of the head forward a little bit, bring the hips back a little bit. So you're just rocking forward and back, crown of the head goes forward a little bit, hips go back a little bit. Just kind of mobilising again through the knees, and you're going to feel that in your wrists. So all these sensations that you feel, be aware, because you're working them. Weight bearing is one of the most, it's hard for the body, but it's also one of the best things for your body, because it does help to build bone density, because it encourages circulation to those joints in contact with the floor. And perhaps when the hips go back as far as they can, between the heels perhaps, just ease there a little bit, really let the weight of the hips settle down, so you're using that to lengthen the lower back muscles, to open into the hips. And then coming back up, tuck the toes under or come onto the tips of the toes, lift up one knee at a time. You can keep the knees quite wide, it's just a different way of working into these things, this is quite nice. And then when you're ready, if it's okay, just see if you can hover both knees off the floor, and then think of pushing or extending the heels towards the floor to lengthen the legs. Now let go, make sure you got wide between the shoulders, let go of the weight of the head. Lift the heels to bring the knees back down, flatten the front parts of the feet to ease your hips back towards your heels. Lift the hips to come back up into all fours, tuck the toes under on the tips of the toes. You can, if possible, lift up both knees, so hover for a little bit and then think of extending the heels towards the floor to find a bit of that down dog position. Maybe walk the feet a little bit wider, soften, or you can walk through the heels, lift up one heel at a time, just see if that's doable. And then, you don't have to hold on to anything, just see if it's possible. Can you walk your hands back towards your feet, or just kind of doing whatever feels doable for you. So the hands come a little bit closer towards the feet. The knees can be quite soft, it's fine. Let go of the weight of the head. Carefully bring the hands towards the ankles. Take your attention to the back of the waist. So imagine there are strings or pulleys at the back of the waist, drawing, rounding the spine up. Hands towards the knees, towards the thighs, and you just come up to stand. So you kind of stack your spine. Right, so then from here, we're going to take the right foot forward. So we're going to lift the back heel to bend that front knee, and the back knee will bend as well. Then as you extend that back heel down, that will straighten both legs. So lift the back heel to send the knee forward, both knees forward, so there's like a bit of semi-lunge. Then as the back heel goes down, that will lengthen the legs. Just do that once more. Lift the back heel to send the knees forward. As the back heel goes down, lengthen the legs, and then step back. Send the left foot forward. Now if you rock forward and back, and it's quite easy for you, you can send the back foot back. You can have a bit of a longer stance, but obviously you do what feels right for you. If it's okay, you can place the hands at the back of the head, or you know, you can keep the hands where you like, really. It's just another way of moving. So then as you bring the back heel up, the right heel comes up, send that left knee forward, bring the right knee down. Bring the back heel down to lengthen the legs. Not lock the knees, don't lock the knees, think of lengthening the legs. Bring the right heel up to send the knees down or forward, whatever word is for you. Bring the back heel down to lengthen the legs. Just do that a few times. So your attention is on your heel, so you're just finding that connection from the heel through the leg to the hip to the spine. And where your hands are resting on the back of the head, it's as though your head is resting back towards the hands. And then when you're ready, as the back heel comes down, the legs lengthen and you can step back. Now we're just going to we're going to go into a wide leg stance. Rather than being sort of this way on your mat, just turn so you're kind of sideways on your mat. Right, so bring the feet together. Relax the arms. So we're going to send the heels out, then the toes out, heels out, then the toes out, heels out. Obviously just go to where you can go. And then reverse it, come back. So it's a good way of massaging, waking up the feet. So just heel toe out. And soften your knees as well, so don't strain the knees, don't strain the inner thighs or anything like that. We're not going to go so far that you're going to fall, you don't want to fall over. You're just going so far that you can still come back. Because that's what I'm trying to say. So then when you're ready, we go out. Don't go so far that you're feeling overstretched. You always want to feel as though you can heel toe it back in. So we're going to start with the hands on the top of the head. So if you think of the elbows resting down towards the shoulders, but from inside underneath the ribs, there's a feeling of coming up. If you focus your gaze and you just ever so slightly lift your heels, that makes you taller. So can you keep that height coming up through the spine as you bring your heels down? Just do that again if possible. Focus your gaze. Slightly lift the heels, it makes you taller. Try not to plonk the heels down. Carefully replace the heels onto the floor, but keep that height coming up. Take the hands to come to rest behind you on the back of the waist. Now, as your spine starts to move forward, where the hands are resting behind you, draw up into. When the hands come to rest on the knees, underneath your hands, soften the knees. Let go of the weight of your head. The weight goes more into the front parts of the feet, but also find the outside edges of your feet. So you keep your feet quite stable, that's your stable base. And perhaps you can bring the fingertips to rest on the floor. The knees can be quite bent. You don't have to have straight legs. You might find that they're straightened, but it's not, it's not your aim. And then when you're ready, let go of the weight of your head. Take your attention to the back of the waist, round the back of the waist to allow the weight of the head to rest down a little bit more. Wide shoulders, and there's space between the collarbones and the hips. There's long space. Then when you're ready, bring the hands back towards the knees, soften the knees, rounding through the spine to bring yourself back up to stand. And then just bring the feet back together. Well done. So we're going to do that again, but we're going to go into a rotation. So I'll talk you all through it. So take your time. So just take the feet out a little bit wider. So not so wide that you're overstretching. You're not overstretching. You always need to feel as though the heels and the outside edges of the feet are connected back through to the hips. You can lift up one heel at a time. You can shift your hips, so you're not stuck. You can move. So now you let the feet find their place. You've got the outside edges of the feet, the little toes. You've got the base of the big toes. That stabilises the movement. The knees can be quite soft. You can bring your hands onto your knees. Now, underneath your hands, imagine you're moving your knees forward. So the weight goes more into the front parts of the feet because we're going forward. And then just see if you can bring your hands down. Let go of your head. You can move your head from side to side. Now let go of the weight of your head. Let go. Now find the outside edge of the right foot and the base of the right big toe. So we're going to take the left hand out to the left and your gaze can follow. Relax the shoulder as much as possible. Then as the left hand goes up towards the ceiling, follow the hand with your gaze. So you're turning from the centre of the spine. Find the outside edge of the right foot and the right hip as you turn towards the left. Then ever so carefully bring the left hand back down. Bring the hands back towards the ankles. Let go of the weight of the head. Let the spine lengthen down. Bring the hands towards the knees, rounding through the spine. Come up to stand. Now just stop, because it can send you a little bit, because they're slow. It can make you feel a little bit dizzy. So make sure you feel okay. You can bring the feet back together. And we're going to go again on the other side. So take your time, relax the shoulders, take the feet a little bit wider. So make sure your feet are facing forward, your knees are soft. So when you can think of maybe drawing the chin in, think of the base of the ribs, the front of the ribs being drawn in, spine rounding to bring the spine or the crown of the head down towards the floor. So we're trying to lengthen, we're trying to find length in the spine. Your knees can be quite soft, it's absolutely fine. Bring the hands onto the floor, the knees can be quite soft. If it's too much for you, keep your hands on your knees. Or you can have a chair in front of you, you can change it. So then from here, take your attention to the outside edge of the left foot and the left hip. Now that part there stays quite stable. Lift the right hand, send the right hand out to the side. Now your palm is facing down. If you only do this much, it's fine. Take your gaze towards the right hand, and as the right hand lifts from inside underneath the ribs, imagine we'll find the turn from there. The outside edge of the left foot and the left hip stay quiet. And you're just turning from inside underneath the ribs, and your gaze goes up towards the ceiling. And well done, ever so carefully, bring the hand back down, let go the weight of your head, rounding through the spine, soften the knees to walk yourself back up to stand. And then we'll just bring the legs a little bit closer. We'll go again, so let's just make sure our arms, because I know I can't see any of you, make sure our arms are kind of neutral. So when you give your hands a shake, my bracelet's rattling. Right, so give your hands a shake, the arms a shake, and then just stop. Now let the arms go to where they go. Now notice which position your palms are in. So when you're ready, take the right arm out to the side. Notice what position the palm is in. Take the right arm up. notice what position the palm is in. Then lower. Take the left hand out to the side, notice what position the palm is in. Take the left arm up, notice what position the palm is in, and then lower. So we're not changing anything with the shape of the hands. Take the legs a little bit wider. Let the hands come to rest on the knees, and they're neutral. Hands are neutral, you can let them go. Find the outside edge of the feet and the base of the big toes, because that stabilises the movement. Let the hands come to rest on the floor. Palms are facing down, probably let the weight of the head rest. Now when you take the right arm out to the side, notice the position. So we're not trying to change anything. The arm stays neutral, we're not twisting the shoulder or anything like that. And then from inside underneath the ribs, just start to turn towards the right, and that takes the arm up. Find the outside edge of the left foot, the outside edge of the left hip, and from there we turn. Make sure you're breathing. Carefully lower the arm. If possible, send the left hand out to the side, palms facing down because it's neutral. Find the outside edge of the right foot, the outside edge of the right hip. Turn the gaze. If possible, take the arm up, or the arm can come to rest behind you. Just kind of see what feels right for you. From inside underneath the ribs, you feel that turn. And make sure you're breathing. We lower the hand. We let go of the weight of your head. Then if possible, just walk your hands forward a little bit. Lift the heels, and you can either bring one knee down at a time or both knees down, see how you are, and then just ease your hips back towards your heels and just ease down. So your elbows, it's kind of what we did before. Your elbows come a little bit closer in, and the knees are quite wide, and your hips kind of rest down between your heels. You can, if you like, if it's doable, you can make light fists with your hands and let your head just rest onto your hands. Or the head might rest on one hand, or might go a little bit lower. Just kind of see what feels doable for you. And then when you're ready, being careful, just come up, and just as we started, coming back to where we started, come to rest down onto the floor. Place your hands on the base of your ribs, so the elbows are wide, shoulders settle into the floor. Roll your head from side to side, just easing into the jaw, and then just let your head come back to centre. And just for a few moments, just allow yourself to feel the weight of your head. And imagine there are small weights or a book even just resting on your forehead, and that's just allowing your head to settle a little bit deeper into the floor. Imagine there are small weights on the fronts of the shoulders, and that's allowing the shoulders to rest a little bit deeper. Feel your hands resting on the base of your ribs, and your hands are light, and when you breathe in, you can feel the ribs expand because your lungs are filling with air. And then as you breathe out, as your lungs empty, there's just that sense of settling, resting down into the floor. And then your breath returns, and then it leaves. As you move your attention a little bit lower to your hips, now just imagine there are small weights on the right hip and the left hip, allowing your hips and the lower back to rest a little bit more and to settle a little bit more deeply into the floor beneath. As you move your attention to your heels and your feet, and just feel the connection between the heels, the base of the toes, to the earth, to the ground beneath. And when you breathe in, there's just the feeling of your breath in the body. And when you breathe out, perhaps you can rest a little bit deeper, a little bit more quietly. And in that quiet, there's nourishment and rest. And you continue to breathe with an awareness of yourself and your body here as you are. And as the class or the session comes towards its close, just taking note of how you feel right now, and there's no right or wrong, or whatever you're feeling is what you feel, and just carefully in your own time start to move. So moving your shoulders, hands, toes. If you want to stretch the arms away. If you want to open your eyes, or keeping them closed a little bit longer. So there's all these decisions to make, and just coming to rest over on your side when you're ready. So taking your time, and only coming to sit up when you feel ready.